Very sad news to report today, you guys. As you know, the singer D'Angelo died today with a battle of cancer at age 51. So sad because like growing up, he was a soundtrack for me. I'm 43 years old, and he was the soundtrack in college. Fell in love with my girlfriend now, wife Sarah. Listen to D'Angelo. He had hits too, you guys. He came out the scene with "How Does It Feel?" And it's funny because my age group saw "Hits from the Streets." If you guys are BT fans, "Hits from the Streets" did like a reenactment where he wasn't all buff like D'Angelo. He was a lot more skinnier with the video, and that was just funny. He had "You're My Lady." I know I can't sing right now, but he made that song, which is it's a cult classic. Just a very just nice song. Of course, "Brown Sugar." I mean, that was just like this Black Queen pride right there. Another great song. And then he made "Cruising." I think it was the title for the movie Brown Sugar, but "Cruising" just another cool song. Like he had hits, and like in that era, he was different. He wasn't dancing around. He was like more neo soul. He was like a male version of Lauryn Hill, just very, very cool, very stylistic, and just very, very cool at the time. From an R&B standpoint, it was a lot of dancing, a lot of spinning. I can't dance, so I liked D'Angelo's style because it was just cool. He was a cool cat. It seemed like he was a person that you would want to have a beer with, right? But then the music industry, it also has a not so cool side, and it's the music business. And the music business, in my opinion, took away the financial wealth that D'Angelo could have passed down to his family. So we're going to talk about planning. In D'Angelo's case, not saying he did not plan, but how the music business is just a wreck. And what are some things that you can do, either in music business or just in your financial life, to be able to take advantage of your stardom. Right now, we have Instagram. People are becoming viral and being stars overnight. So we're going to go over 3 steps you can do to make sure that financially, if you have a success like D'Angelo, your family is able to take advantage of it. So before we get started, as always, like, subscribe, share to our video. We're here to help. We're giving you great information. Again, our condolences to D'Angelo and his family. We're keeping everybody in our prayers. But let's get this content. Let's show you guys 3 steps to be able to have generational wealth, unlike, unfortunately, what happened with D'Angelo. You guys ready? Let go. So, unfortunately, his estimated net worth, now estimated, right? His estimated net worth was $1.2 million. A shame because he made his record label an estimated $185 million. Let me repeat that. He made his record label $185 million. And approximately at the time of his passing, he had $1.2 million to pass down to the family. That's just ridiculous. I mean, really, just ridiculous. He traveling all over the country, singing his heart out, making all this money for a record label. And when he passes away at the young age of 51, less than $2 million to pass down to the family, allegedly, a shame. So we're going to go over things that you can do now as you're growing your empire, like D'Angelo did, to make sure that pesky companies, in this case, a record company, cannot take away all of your well-being, just like that when you're becoming a star. Number one, strike when the iron's hot. D'Angelo had 3 albums, but he released those 3 albums over 3 different decades. Those long hiatuses, those long pauses did not do good for him. Now, yes, touring all over the world, shaking hands, kissing babies every single night has to be taxing. But it is the old adage, you want to strike while the iron is hot. Just imagine if he would have released more albums. Now, could that have been his label? Maybe, maybe not. But if he had more than 3 albums, he would have had a catalog. This goes to content. why you should post on your Instagram more than once a day. You don't post and ghost. You consistently post because it is a commercial, a living, breathing commercial about yourself. Start a YouTube channel. You're seeing it right now on YouTube. Be on YouTube. Be consistent. Just like the news is consistent every single day. Be consistent. Not saying D'Angelo was not consistent. Not saying that it was his fault that he only released 3 albums over decades. But just imagine if he had double the work. If he released the album every 5 years instead of every 10 years, how much larger his catalog would have been. How much more touring he could have done. How much more impact he would have put on the world. And financially, how much more his family would have been in better shape. And that better shape comes into play the word of monetization. You know that song he had? How does it feel? Great song. Being consistent in today's world means monetizing it. You see, a lot of times individuals create great viral content and then they go into the next one. You know, my podcast mentor, Brendan Board, shouts out to Brendan Board, my podcast mentor. He says, the reason why people hop from podcast to podcast and one doesn't pop is because they don't work it. You do that piece of content, and just like that #1 single, where you do it over and over and over again, you clip it up. You hire clippers to clip it to make it go viral, which means more people learn about you. You get on meme pages, and those meme pages make you go viral. So with that one piece of content, you're able to clip that up, multiply in different ways, do YouTube shorts for 1.5 minutes, and then break it down for 30 and 15 seconds on TikTok. Out of 10 of them, 9 might not pop, but the one short one that does allows you to monetize. So by you being more consistent, it gives you the ability to monetize. From a financial standpoint, we should do the same. We buy that one stock, and that one stock goes up, and we're like, we're good. No. It's not timing the market, it's time in the market. Dollar cost averaging. Being consistent when the market's up or when the market's down. Not having that long hiatus. In this case, unfortunately, D'Angelo making 3 albums in 30 years. Being consistent with your investing, during the good times and the bad times. Democratic president, Republican president, it does not matter. You being consistent and monetizing goes a long way. So lesson #1 with this unfortunate tragedy is be consistent and monetize your content and your investments. Lesson #2, ownership, ownership, ownership. Anybody that's a W-2 employee, I strongly recommend them do some type of 1099 consulting job. You, especially as you grow in your career, it's so many people younger than you that wish that they had the advice, they had the wherewithal, they had the experience to grow like you did. Again, me being 43, have friends that's been in corporate America for 15, 20 years. You don't think a college graduate, a person in their first job, a dead-end job, wouldn't love to get the knowledge, the coaching, the mentorship to have them excel in their corporate job quicker? If you have a barbershop, and like my barber Chuck's been cutting my hair literally for 15 years. He's had 3 different barbershops. He has the wherewithal to coach individuals. What works? What doesn't work? How to retain barbers? How not to retain barbers? He has that knowledge and experience. That, my friends, is ownership. So what D'Angelo unfortunately did not do, he didn't own his masters. Now, times were different back then, because when you sign a contract, you're just trying to get on, right? Just like when you get that job, you're just trying to get on. You're not negotiating anything. Having ownership is the way to go. If you're in business now, have ownership of what you're doing. If you have partnerships, if I'm doing a podcast like I talked about before, and I'm paying for that podcast, how about I get your email list? How about you do a commercial for me? How can you go above and beyond me compensating you so I can get the biggest bang for my buck? And with that ownership comes the back end. The systems in place. Anytime I go on a podcast, anytime I do a speaking engagement, we have systems in place already so that we automatically, with the list I negotiate getting, send out texts, send out emails, send out videos about me, having ownership of the process so I can be compensated for the value I bring. What type of value do you bring? From a tax standpoint, is the IRS compensating you for all those hard worked hours? Do you have your operating agreement set in place? Do you have a lease agreement set in place? Are you doing business meetings up to 14 days a year to take advantage of the Augusta rule? You're probably not. But if so, you need to have your board of directors in place. You need to have your meeting minutes in place. Are we going on vacations? If you're going on vacations, are you using that as a tax deduction? Maybe, maybe not. If you are, do you have the right documentation so that the IRS doesn't audit you because you didn't have your vacation minutes? When it comes to a vacation, if it's 4 or more hours on a Friday or on a Monday, then that Saturday and Sunday is also a tax deduction. Your hotel, your food. But we need minutes to show what exactly we did on that Friday. We drove to a car dealership if I'm in the trucking business and looked at trucks for 2 hours. If I'm in the real estate business, I met with the realtor, right? I did my 3 hours of looking at houses and I had a half an hour drive time to and a half an hour drive time from. And then I had a lunch meeting with them. That constitutes a business activity, and that is the documentation and systems that you need to justify those write-offs. But that all goes back to ownership. You need to own your processes. You need to own your business, something that unfortunately D'Angelo didn't do. Now, times back then, a little bit different, right? You needed record labels to get on. Now, you just go on YouTube or go on TikTok or Instagram, do a couple dances, and you're blown up. But then with that being said, having your systems in place and having ownership and documentation goes a long way. And that leads me to number 3. Financial literacy, financial literacy, financial literacy. You need a team around you. I always talk about this all the time, ROI. Most people look at ROI as return on investment. No, not at all. Relationships over independence. Not saying that D'Angelo was independent. I did not know what relationships he had, but we do know it was not as much money being passed down as what it could have been. Estimated again, $1.2 million. Nasty work. Relationships goes a long way. You need a tax strategist, not just a CPA or a tax preparer who's going to look at things that you did in the past and prepare it and file your taxes accordingly. No. You need a tax strategist. And he or she, like myself, he or she is going to look forward. Here's how your business is growing, and here's how we can structure your business to get the most tax write-offs possible. So now you have more money by doing the same thing that you're doing now. Get a certified financial planner, like myself, that can do financial planning. Is it best to invest in the stock market? Or is it best to do real estate for those tax write-offs, right? Is it best to dollar cost average, which it is, or is it best to put in a lump sum because of those tax deductions like a SEP IRA or solo 401k? Should we do an IRA? We have more wiggle room with how we could put in money, or should we do an owner 401k where we could take a loan up to 50% out that 401k through the business? That's where a financial planner comes into place. You need an estate attorney who is going to create the trust, the will, and the power of attorney. As I'm acquiring these properties, if I pass away, I don't want that to go to probate. I don't want everybody knowing my business. In D'Angelo's case, does he have a trust? We don't know because a trust is a private document. If you do not have a trust, everything goes through probate, which means everybody knows who you are, what bills you have, and what assets you have. And we don't want the government in our business. So financial literacy is very important. It's great to have the ownership that we talked about. It's great to be consistent with how you invest or how you run your business. But without financial literacy, without the team like a tax strategist, like a certified financial planner, like an estate attorney or somebody doing your estate planning, all that hard work is going to go to the government, not to your family. In conclusion, talent alone does not guarantee generational wealth. A legend like D'Angelo, amazing. Unfortunately, a lot of legends like D'Angelo, for whatever reason, didn't have the proper planning in place, like James Brown. How many years was he in probate as he was dead? 13 years. An estimated $24 million to court costs and attorney fees. He was sweating out that perm for all those years. The godfather of soul, but didn't have the proper plan in place to protect that money. Now his kids not getting $24 million. The different states and attorneys did. Nasty work. D'Angelo, we know that he did not get nearly as much as what his labels got because of lack of planning. And this is not a slight and lower rest his soul. This is just an example. We have the ability because of technology, people like myself, people in your community that can help you plan, help you with ownership, help you be consistent so that your family does not go through the grief, the sadness, and the what if because you didn't have things in order. D'Angelo made timeless music, but with a sharper financial blueprint, his legacy could have just been more than music. It could have been generational wealth. You guys do me a favor. Comment the word legacy in the comments. LGACY, legacy. And I'm going to give you guys the full money playbook. The 3 things that I talked about: consistency, ownership, and financial literacy, broken down so you can understand it easily, but more importantly, you can apply it to your day-to-day financial life. How to set up your career to have your money last for decades, not just a few years. Again, prayers go up to D'Angelo's family. So sorry what happened. So unfortunately, let's keep them in our prayers and comment the word legacy so we can give you that playbook so we can have generational wealth. Let's make some painless or painful profits together, y'all. Peace.